Great American Ballpark can be a hitter's paradise, and led by former MVP Joey Votto, Cincinnati's lineup can pack a punch. The Reds like to play long ball and are among the major league leaders in home runs. The Giants' pitching staff will be put to the test in a 4-game series against a potent Reds offense. Tonight, Game 1, Lincecum and the Giants against the Reds, next.
The road trip continues tonight. We're in Ohio. We're in Cincinnati as we get ready for Giants baseball. It is Game 1 of a 4-game series, Giants and Reds. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dwayne Kuiper. Alongside me is Mike Krukow. Well, a disappointing loss last night in Houston, so the Giants split that short 2-game series. Now, the Giants travel here into Great American Ballpark where they have struggled. Lincecum has struggled against these Reds. How do they change things around tonight here in Cincinnati?
Well, it's going to have to start with Tim Lincecum, and he is a different pitcher than who's ever pitched here before, and he's 0-4 lifetime against these Reds with an ERA in the 9, so I don't even know where those numbers come from, but right now he's throwing great baseball. If he establishes that he has command of all 4 pitches, he will have the weapons it will take to beat this Reds offense. Now, the Reds have won 8. They've lost 6 here at Great American Ballpark, but they're a confident team offensively. They're very dangerous, just like we saw in Houston. They have the power up and down the lineup. If you make mistakes and mistakes up, they'll make you pay. So that'll be the key. Lincecum, keep that ball down, keep the ball in the ballpark.
And their offense, well, they'll have their hands full with Johnny Cueto, the Reds' best pitcher. All right, should be fun here in Cincinnati. Stay tuned. We'll take you to our Comcast Sportsnet studios for an update, and we'll do that right after this.
is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jack's hottest sandwich is back. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. By Toyota, #1 in MPG, durability, and resale value. Toyota, let's go places. And by DraftKings.com. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com with the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Enter promo code ORANGE for free entry.
Back here at Great American Ballpark as we get ready for Giants baseball, we'd like to apologize. We're having some graphic issues. So lineups and things of that nature, we're going to have to wait a little bit, but we will pop around and let you know what's happening here. The Giants come in with a record of 17-17, and that's the same record as the Cincinnati Reds. Our game time weather is presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. The admission-free boardwalk is kicking off summer this Saturday with free performances by Circus of Nations. 73 degrees here in Cincinnati. You see the humidity is quite low. The winds are calm, and it's partly cloudy, but it's going to be a good night to play baseball. So you can see our graphic issue has been settled, and let's take a look at the Giants lineup. It'll be Blanco, Panic, and then Angel Pagan. Buster Posey's been red hot, including a big game last night in Houston. It'll be Belt, Maxwell, and Crawford. McGee is going to hit 8th, and Lincecum 9th.
On the hill tonight for the Cincinnati Reds is going to be the veteran right-hander Johnny Cueto. He's in his 8th year at the big league level. Not a tall guy, 5'11", but stocky in build and very strong, 225 pounds. This is what he's done in 7 starts, 3-3 with a 2.98 ERA, 47 strikeouts against just 8 walks, and just 45 base runners and 51 1/3. That's dealing, and he is chewing up everybody in the league who just hit 202 against him. And what he will feature is a fastball, and he can go anywhere from high 80s to high 90s. He's a guy that is very deceptive in his delivery, and it's a high 3/4 release that allows him great tilt on his breaking ball, the curveball, the slider, the fastball. He'll 4-seam and 2-seam, and he'll also throw a great changeup. Lifetime against the Giants, he is 3-2 with a 1.98 ERA. Let's take a look at the defense playing behind Johnny Cueto tonight. Starting in the Reds outfield from left to right, it'll be Bird, Hamilton, and Bruce. Good arms in center and right. Cozart and Frazier on the left side of the infield. Schumacher and Votto on the right side, and Brian Pena, he'll be in the squad putting down the signs.
So here's Gregor Blanco as he's going to step in and lead things off. Blanco gets a start tonight, hitting at .219 with an RBI. And the first pitch of the ball game is on its way, and it's high. So we get started 1 minute late at 7:11. And the 1-0 pitch to Blanco. And Blanco takes low. The home plate umpire is Alfonso Marquez. Bellino, Dreckman, and Hallion from first to third. Alfonso Marquez calling balls and strikes. Blanco takes a strike, gets 2 balls and 1 strike.
You're going to see a lot of low strikes with Alfonso Marquez, and for the most part you have to be between the knees to get a strike. If you sit up on the outside corner and it comes across the inside corner, you won't get it. It's got to be between the catcher's knees. But if you're a control guy like Cueto, it favors him.
2-2, and the fastball in on the hands at 91, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
With an umpire like Marquez, you can exaggerate the corners, and if you still put the ball in the knees, that's how you can stretch the strike zone. He'll react to it, and he'll ring guys up. Not a problem.
Hit up the middle. Schumacher on the backhand, and he's not going to be able to make a play. And this game starts off with an infield hit.
I think Schumacher did well just to get to that ball. It looked like the grass is a little heavy here at the ballpark, but they say it's still a pretty quick infield. Just to the backhand and could not slide into a position where he could get balance to get off a throw.
So here's Joe Panic. Panic had the night off last night in Houston. It was Matt Duffy who got the start at second. Panic having a solid year, hitting .283 with a couple of home runs and 10 driven in. And here he takes high. He's never faced Cueto before. As he looks down to Roberto Kelly. Angel Pagan to follow. Blanco with good speed. And this has popped up, and that's going to be a souvenir.
Not a whole lot of wind right now, and the carry in this ballpark is really from foul pole to foul pole. Extremely live field, and any fly ball that is hit, it doesn't have to get barreled to get out of here. That's how live it is, especially down the lines, and especially to right field.
Inside, not by much. Giants are 6-8 on the road. The Reds are 8-6 at home. Reds have won 2 straight. Giants, of course, split that 2-game series in Houston. Ooh, Blanco had a stutter step to second, but he gets back.
Cueto was very athletic on the mound. He feels his position well. He holds runners on well. I mean, he's the whole package. He understands upsetting the timing of not just the guy in the batter's box, but he'll upset the timing of the runner at first base or second base just as easily.
To me, it looks like Blanco's going. He's got a serious lean towards second base.
There's the lean we're talking about, and he definitely was thinking second base.
He goes swinging a pop-up straight back and out of play. Not a great jump. And with Bruce Bochy putting on the hit and run, and we're assuming that that's what it was, it's Panic's job to foul the ball off, something that didn't happen in the game last night. So it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fouled out of play. Panic stays alive. That's 91 from Cueto.
Oh, yeah, he could add. We've seen him go as high as 95, 97. Just cruise around 89, 91 with sink and locate. Then all of a sudden gets to a 2-strike and he'll zip you in the mid-90s.
And Panic takes that fastball high.
Very quick slide step from Cueto to get out of the stretch. That's why it's just so difficult to get timed to Cueto. If you're the base runner at first base, it's not an easy bag to steal. He does one of the better jobs in all of baseball at keeping runners close.
Likely Blanco will go. Here's the payoff, and it's high, ball 4.
All right, time now for our Geico quote. This one comes from the skipper, Bruce Bochy, on what went wrong last night in Houston. And he said, just the little things, productive outs. They missed hit and run. Those things catch up with you in a close ball game. And indeed, last night was a 1-run game. And a botched hit and run was a big, big part of the loss.
And in that 9th inning, the ability to move Crawford from second to third with nobody out. On the road, especially on the road, the little thing's so important. Here's Pagan. Pagan's got a little bit of ownage on Cueto. He's 4 for 7 lifetime. He's hitting .336 overall. And here he takes a called strike as he raised his arms, and it's 0-1. Good speed on the bases for the Giants. Buster Posey to follow. Pagan takes down low, so the Giants making Cueto work here in the first inning. That's 14 pitches without an out.
You get a good pitcher out there like Cueto, and he's looking for his rhythm in the first inning, and he provides opportunity. You have to take advantage of it.
Rolls this one over. It's slowly hit. The only play will be at first, and they just get Pagan. Both runners advance. Hit a home run last night, got a hanger, and took advantage of it.
Yeah, 3-2 breaking ball from Sam Deduno, and boom, he put a good swing on it up above the strike zone, and that's an elevate on contact swing of the bat, and pumped it right into the Crawford boxes.
That was his 5th of the year. He's hitting .291. He had 3 hits overall. And he takes a strike, and it's 0-1. 3 for 7 against Cueto lifetime. That's regular season games. Posey with a line drive into right center field, a base hit. They're going to stop Panic at the very last second. Coming in to score is Blanco, and it's 1-0 Giants.
Panic had a little bit of a freeze to make sure that that line drive got into the outfield, and that was about all it would take to slow him down, put the stop sign on if you're Roberto Kelly. And the reason for that is Billy Hamilton out in center field has a cannon, and he made a very good throw. Nice money hitting from Buster Posey. And let's watch the throw from Hamilton. I mean, he's got a whip. If Panic goes, he's out by 20 feet. There he has a little stutter step right there, and Kelly sees that, and there's the red stop.
So here's Belt. Belt with a swing and a miss. No balls and 1 strike.
Fly ball situation here. 1 out, you're trying to get deep in the air, and you've got to get at least average distance with the fly ball to center and right to score.
Belt is knocked off the plate. He's hitting .287 with 7 runs batted in. 1 for 5 against Cueto, and this is a spot if you're Brandon Belt. You have to put the ball in play.
High fastball has really been giving him fits. He cannot cover it with his top hand, and he's underneath the swing, underneath the baseball with his swing. And this has been something that we've seen him get in these modes before. His best defense against that high pitch right now is to take it, because he's not covered it, and he's not even fouling it off, and teams know this.
And he's going to see it again.
He's going to see high fastballs again. You're right.
And that pitch is wide, so it's 2-2. Justin Maxwell's on deck. Panic at third. Buster Posey at first. So it's 3-2.
Take a look at Cueto and what he's done this season. A lot of fastballs, 2s and 4s. And the cutter, I mean, at times you'll even call it a fastball. So a lot of hard stuff. His curveball, slider, and changeup, though, I mean, he's not afraid to throw any one of those things. And again, you have to emphasize, he'll throw them in any count. If he may throw 1 curveball a game, and he might throw it on a 3-2 count.
Runner goes. Belt is out. Posey's in a rundown. And now Panic is in a rundown. And now Panic is out. And the woes continue for Brandon Belt. Giants lead 1-0. And here's Brian Price's lineup. Reds come in 17-17. Hamilton in the leadoff spot, followed by Cozart and Votto. Todd Frazier has got big offensive numbers. It'll be Bird, Jay Bruce, and then Brian Pena. Skip Schumacher will hit 8th and Cueto 9th.
On the hill tonight for the Giants will be the right-hander, Tim Lincecum. Lincecum, 5'11", 170-pounder, 30 years of age, 8-year veteran at the big league level. 6 starts this year. He's 3-2 with a 2.0 ERA, 28 strikeouts and against 14 walks. With Lincecum, you're going to see a high 80s fastball, a curveball, slider, and a split. And Lincecum looking for his first lifetime win ever against the Cincinnati team. His numbers are unbelievable. 0-4 in 6 starts with an ERA of 9.79, 33 earned runs in 30 innings.
But this is the new Lincecum.
Let's take a look at the defense playing behind Lincecum. Starting in the outfield from left to right will be Blanco, Pagan, and Maxwell. Maxwell with the best arm in the outfield. Crawford and McGee on the left side. Panic and Bell on the right side. Buster Posey will be in the squad, putting down the signs.
So here's Hamilton, who gave Lincecum fits last year in this park. He's hitting .211. And the first pitch bounces, and Buster, right off the bat, Buster Posey gets beat up.
Well, we haven't seen it this year with Lincecum to where he has had big-time control problems where he bounced balls way out in front of home plate. But in his history the last couple years, I mean, it was common for him if he threw 80 pitches in a game to have 9 balls bounce in front of home plate, not in front of the catcher, home plate.
Yeah, but not so much this year.
This year, a totally different story. Much better mechanics. He and his father spent some time in the offseason working out some mechanical problems, and he's really been in a good groove since spring.
2-2.
And that's split. And that was nasty. For Billy Hamilton, that pitch just got your attention.
Foul back. He threw it again, and this time Hamilton, after seeing it once, had a chance to foul this one off. Cozart on deck. And a full count.
You wouldn't think that a big pitch would be the first guy you face in a game, but when you have a guy who's such a base stealing threat like Billy Hamilton, this becomes a big pitch.
Tapped. Posey's got it. 1 out.
Let's take a look at our AT&T U-verse rewind. We go back to May 2015. That was Tim Lincecum's last start against the Marlins. And he was dealing. 3 hits allowed, 8 strikeouts in 6 innings, 107 pitches in those 6. But really had good stuff, as we've seen him have all season long. And that's our AT&T U-verse rewind.
Here's Cozart hitting .321. He's having a terrific season. 5 home runs, 16 driven in. And he takes a strike, and that was is that a breaking ball?
Yeah, that was a slider.
He's 1 for 6 lifetime against Lincecum. And this is driven into right center field. Pagan on the move. Pagan is going to make the catch. And a nice play by Angel Pagan as he bumps up against the wall in right center field.
That's a great play. I thought if the crack of the bat had a chance to get out of here. That's how live this ballpark is. And what do you say we make this defensive effort from Pagan, our forward right choice? I mean, he had a great jump, and look at the route. Complete straight line to the ball, and it had to be perfect so he could run in, and then he challenges the wall and still gobbles it up right to the tip of the glove. That's our forward right choice. Nice play.
Here's Joey Votto, and Votto takes high and wide. 1 ball and no strikes.
And Votto has been hot. Hoping he would find his stroke this year, and he has indeed done that.
And Votto takes a lot of pitches, doesn't take that one, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. His numbers against Lincecum, he does have a double and a home run lifetime. He's 5 for 14. McGee is way off the line at third. Crawford shading Votto to pull, but not an overshift. Two and two.
Good split. I mean, that's another great split finger fastball. That pitch is definitely working for him tonight. Got a good feel for it.
Doesn't look like Joey Votto. It looks like his younger brother that's lost about 30 pounds. And he looks great.
Yeah, he looks in great shape.
Lincecum shaking his head, and now he agrees. And it's 3-2. Another look at Angel Pagan making that play in right center field.
Everything had to be perfect. I mean, he didn't have a lot of time to get to that ball, but the jump was right on, and the route was as straight to a ball as you can get. And I don't know if he's taking inventory, if he's feeling it, but he hit that ball pretty hard with his shoulder.
Payoff to Votto, and he walked him. So here's Todd Frazier. Frazier hitting .238. That's not impressive, but 12 home runs, 23 runs batted in is very impressive. And he takes a breaking ball for a called strike. Votto with his lead, not a big one. Now he goes, and the pitch is low, and Posey's throw is late, and Votto steals it, his 5th of the year.
Man, you look at Joey Votto and you think, well, he's not a base stealer, but he is. I mean, it's the 6th and he hasn't been thrown out. What he does is get great jumps, and Lincecum very deliberate, very slow getting rid of the ball, high leg kick, and Posey really had no chance. It's frustrating for a catcher if the pitcher doesn't give him a chance to throw a runner out.
Wow, a little foggy out there, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, thinking he can get a jump. And Lincecum sometimes, I mean, he'll come set and he won't even look at second base. Everybody knows that.
Inside to Frazier, 2 balls and 1 strike. See where Frazier ranks in home runs. He's tied with Bryce Harper.
He hit one last night to dead center.
And that gets away from Buster Posey. And now Votto will end up at third, and that's going to put a little bit more heat on Buster.
Ball hits home plate, skips. Not a lot you can do about that. You anticipate that ball is going to bounce up like a ground ball, but when it hits home plate and skims, good luck with that. Frazier lifetime against the Giants has torched him, hitting .392 with 5 big flies, 16 ribeyes.
So Lincecum comes right back in, and it's a full count. Here's the payoff. And he walked it.
So try to get after him with the curveball. Back-to-back walks. We always talk about Coors Field, as offensive as it is, the one place you cannot walk people. Well, you can say the same thing for Great American Ballpark. I mean, you cannot walk people here. I mean, the routine fly balls can jump out of here. And if you set the table with walks, it's really a bad formula.
Here's Bird. Bird is another guy with a low batting average, but 7 home runs, 18 runs batted in. And here he takes high, 1-0. We saw a lot of those type of numbers in Houston. And some of those numbers are very much like that in this Reds lineup. Bird is 3 for 8 in his career against Lincecum. Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jay Bruce is on deck. 23 pitches for Lincecum here in the first.
Still looking for his rhythm. That has always been Lincecum's history. He has always been slow to find a rhythm.
So Buster now wants to have a word with his pitcher. A lot of positive history between those two standing on the mound. And that'll go all the way back to 2010 and what Lincecum did in postseason. My goodness. Swing and a miss. 1-2. Now Frazier at first is looking like he's thinking about going to. Now he's got 5 steals and he hasn't been thrown out.
Yeah, he's a guy like Votto. I mean, he's a good base runner. If you don't pay attention to him, he'll go. The Giants are running through the signs with Posey to Lincecum as if there's a runner at first base. They'll check the runner here at first.
Look, this is not an accusation, and I don't want it to sound like it, but when the home bullpen is right in direct view of the catcher, you have to be careful. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. And now Lincecum said, can you run through him again?
And that, what you just mentioned there, is why Posey's going through the signs as if there was a runner at second with nobody at second. And they'll change the signs every inning.
Now the runner goes, and the throw is bluffed.
I'm not really sure what happened there. Lincecum is having a problem with the mound. He's already stumbled once. Yeah, he does. He catches his foot.
And he really had to come through.
You can't stop. It's a balk.
So actually he did a pretty good job. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And a full count with Jay Bruce to follow. So they pitch number 27 in the inning. And the walk. And here comes Dave Righetti to give Lincecum a breather.
Well, maybe a few minor mechanical suggestions. He's going to ask if he's all right. He's stumbled on the mound a couple times. But the point you make about just giving him a breather as he's throwing 27 pitches in this inning. I mean, this is a huge at bat in this ball game. Jay Bruce is stepping in. I mean, he's got power.
Yeah, I do think, Mike, that the clay has been a bit of an issue for him on the mound. So just a little bit of a pep talk. Jay Bruce hitting 167. He's got 5 home runs, 16 driven in. Frazier, Bird are your base runners. Giants playing Bruce to pull. 1 ball and no strikes. Posey can't find it. It's right near home plate. It's 1-0.
Easy take.
Well, now it's really not an issue of Lincecum making quality pitches. It's about Lincecum throwing a strike.
And because of that, I mean, you're going to probably see a pitch that takes a little more of the strike zone, which means it's a much more hittable pitch.
Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And he wins the first challenge. And that was right down the middle at the belt at 86.
That's going to reach the seats. It's 1-2. Two outs, Hamilton, Cozart, and then 3 straight walks. It's now 1-2 to Jay Bruce.
And the Cozart out was a brilliant play.
Outside 2-2. Votto's at third. Frazier's at second. Bird is at first. Lincecum probably doesn't want to get to 3-2, so this 2-2 pitch is pretty important. High and deep to right center field. Pregame at the wall, and he makes the catch. And that'll end the inning. Whew. Yes. If you thought I thought it was gone, I did. It's 1-0 Giants. This was the car crash last night at Minute Maid Park. Watch Canto, Susac, and Belt. Here they come.
I asked George Cantos today, George, are you sore? He goes, no, that was fun.
Of course not. He landed on someone. It's Susac who should be sore. Although Cantos did hit pretty hard. Anyway, that's our Togo's big play. The Togo's win. Nice play.
Yeah, Andrew Susac, way to go.
So here's Maxwell, Crawford, and McGee.
And see Tim Lincecum cleaning his spikes off, or getting his spikes cleaned off. High-tech tool.
What is it, a fork?
Fork. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good tool for it. They used to tape 2 tongue depressors together, which was useless.
Well, Mike Murphy only had so many forks, you know. He had to steal one from the Stadium Club at Candlestick.
That's not that far-fetched.
Maxwell slow roll to the third. Frazier charging. He will barehand it. He will throw in a nice play. 1 out. Well, looking for a gift for a friend or family member that is graduating. Check out the Giants graduation pack. Comes with a commemorative class of 2015 Giants cap with an orange SF tassel. Pack starts as low as $45. sfgiants.com/mini-pack. Here's Crawford. With McGee to follow. Foul back, and it's 0-1. Crawford's never had a hit during the regular season against Cueto. He's 0 for 7.
.371 on base percentage. And that's for a guy who's hit a lot of the season in the 8th spot, and that's a great number. I mean, anything on base percentage wise above 340, I mean, you're having a good season. For you to do that at 370 clip in the 8 hole in the lineup, that's remarkable.
Up the middle. Cueto threw his glove at it. Is that allowed?
Well, if the glove would have hit the ball, then it would have been a dead ball and he would have been given a hit. And no, it's not allowed. But I mean, he could just say that it slipped off his hand. I mean, we know what happened indeed, but it would have been interesting if it would have hit the ball as to how they would have ruled it.
Here's McGee hitting 184. 6 for 20 against Cueto with a couple of doubles and a home run. One ball and 1 strike. Tim Lincecum to follow. Lincecum got out of that mess in the first. So 2-1 to McGee. Three and 1 to McGee. Nice crowd here tonight. It is not a full house. There's a strike. We've had nights here where the weather was all over the place, but not tonight.
See the big upper body twist, really loads up on that back leg, and that's his timing mechanism to make sure he stays back before he starts home. And that little bit of funkiness, it adds to his deception. Not an easy guy to pick up.
Swing and a miss. By the way, it's a 3-base error if you throw your glove at the ball and hit the ball. Giants lead 1-0.
on Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area is brought to you by Amici's East Coast Pizzeria. When you want the best pizza in town, Amici's delivers.
Giants with an early 1-0 lead. Is Brian Pena is going to lead it off here in the second. And the first one to the backstop, and it's 1-0. Pena hitting .347 with 3 runs batted in. And that pitch is in tight, and it's 2-0. So Lincecum a little out of whack right now. With Schumacher on deck. This is bounced up the middle. Panic. Throws him out. He knew that Pena, not a fast runner, was running, so he took his time.
And that time just allowed him to set his feet. Didn't have to throw cross body. Get to the ball. Normally a fast runner with Hamilton, you'd have to throw across your body. Here with Pena, the catcher, below average speed, all the time in the world to set to your target.
Here's Schumacher. And a little high to Schumacher. Now Schumacher's had the most at bats of anybody in this Reds lineup against Lincecum, 31. And it's 2-0 with Cueto to follow. Two balls and 1 strike. Two and 2. Schumacher looking for something other than that.
He's absolutely sitting on something soft. And a lot of guys approach Lincecum that way. For the last several years, fastball has not been an easy pitch for him to command.
Blanco on the move, and he'll put it away. 2 down. Next homestand, the Dodgers are in town for a 3-game series. The Thursday day game is already sold out. That's on the 21st. But the 2 night games, Tuesday and Wednesday, they are not. So if you want to see the Dodgers, check out the 2 night games, and you can purchase tickets at sfgiants.com/tickets. And here's Cueto. And a strike to Cueto, who's 2 for 11 on the season.
Yeah, he's a better hitter than he'll show you. Moving up in the box. See a guy moving up in the box. He's looking for one thing, something off speed.
And that's a 3-pitch see you later, and that'll end the inning. Through 2 innings, Giants are leading 1-0, and Lincecum's going to lead things off.
2012 NLDS Game 5 Buster Posey Grand Slam off Matt Latos, and you never heard a sellout crowd get so quiet in your life. And that is our T-Mobile game changer. This really is a great baseball city. The fans here are fantastic and a fun place to play.
Here's Lincecum. Lincecum on the ground, but right at Schumacher, who will make the play. Fun place to play, even if you're facing the big red machine.
Well, yeah, because back then you didn't get a lot of sellouts. But here in 1975, 76, you got a lot of sellouts. And they were just a raucous, rowdy crowd. They were fun. And that was an unbelievable team.
Blanco opened the game up with an infield hit, and he scored. And he pops that one foul and out of play. In that lineup, toughest out for you?
Joe Morgan. Pete Rose.
No, one.
No, I mean, I think Pete had more hits than Joe did, but Joe had more home runs.
Well, Joe had that really big strike zone.
About as big as a toilet seat.
Little nubber down the left field line. That's a fair ball. And with Blanco's speed, he's going to end up at second base with a double. The thing I liked about Joe, and you know how I feel about Joe and you feel about Joe, is you see Blanco's hit.
Going the opposite way. That's what you have to do against Cueto, because he's so good at mixing speeds and location. You just can't try and get greedy with him.
Is that pitch to Joe right down the middle of the plate, and he would argue that it was either low, high, or outside.
What was the joke around the league is that if he took it, it was a ball. The only time it's a strike is if he swings at it.
Here's Panic. Panic bounces this one to Votto, and Votto will shovel it to Cueto.
But Joe Morgan was one of the smartest players I ever played against, one of the best players I ever played against, and an absolute 100% true Hall of Famer. And you knew it when you were playing Joe Morgan that he was going to be a Hall of Famer. That's how good he was. Number 8 retired here.
Here's Pagan. Pagan bounced out to second. With Buster Posey on deck. And well, I saw the right arm move a little bit from Alfonso Marquez.
He was thinking about it. It's not a real good pitcher strike zone, not like we saw the last couple nights. And this is a zone that you would say is a better hitter zone.
That's a souvenir into the seats. It's a ball and a strike. One and one to Pagan. Away from the target, 2 balls and 1 strike.
You know, you go back and chart the fastballs and the fastball velocities of Johnny Cueto, and they can go anywhere from 88 to 97. I mean, he's just got an incredible feel. Puts 2 different types of movement on it. He'll sink the ball, cut the ball, and you just, even when you're in a fastball count, you don't feel like you have the advantage on him because he can be so creative with the different types of looks he can give you with the fastball.
3-2 to Pagan.
Easy take there. You've seen more easy takes tonight, 2-strike situations from Cueto than I think we've ever seen. I mean, he's not completely 100% locked into a great rhythm. Normally when he throws a pitch off the plate, it's scraping the strike zone. It's one you have to think about. They're not pitches that you see early and just know it's going to be a ball. He does not afford you that feeling as a hitter.
3-2. Out of play. Hamilton very shallow in center field. I guess if you can run like he can, you can play shallow. Here's the pitch. And Posey's going to hit. Buster got a base hit to knock in the only run in this game in the first. Good speed on the bases for the Giants. Outside 1-0 with a high fastball at 93.
Yeah, Cueto wanted that one. Trying to bring that little two-seam movement back on the outside corner. He didn't miss by much.
And there's a strike as he comes back down around the knees to even the count.
You say, how can he take that fastball on a 1-0 count? Easy. He wasn't looking fastball. Or if he was, he wasn't looking that side of the plate. When he looks for a pitch, he'll look for a pitch. He'll look for a location. I mean, he'll really hone in on it.
And that's a balk. Absolutely. He came set twice. So the Giants now lead 2-0.
You can't argue a balk. Tony Cueto started walking over towards Tom Hallion, the crew chief, and the third base umpire who called it. Comes set. And then he comes set a second time, and that's a balk. He made the balk with his hands.
Unless you're Louis Tion, you can't do that.
Well, Louis Tion used to do that every pitch.
Well, he did it 4 times. Posey right back to Cueto. And he's going to throw to first, and that'll end the inning. So Cueto's ticked off. There's the Hall of Fame uniform of Joe Morgan, our old friend. Joe, if you're watching, you the man, baby.
Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area is brought to you by PG&E. Together, building a better California.
Here you see Billy Hamilton as he will lead things off, and Hamilton will take a strike. Hamilton hit a slow roller out in front of home plate, and Posey threw him out. Cueto left the mound hacked off.
Yeah, that's his hacked off face.
And hacked off because of the balk call.
You can't stop your hands and restart and stop again. Even if you are doing the El Tiante. Luis Tiant, and I really believe that Cueto at some point in time saw film of Luis Tiant, and his mannerisms on the mound is wind up. Everything is Luis Tiant.
A little bit, you're right. 3-1. Three and two. So Lincecum comes right into the strike zone. He needs to do it again. Cannot walk Hamilton.
Taken all the way there.
Hit out to Pagan, and Pagan will put it away.
You have to make Hamilton swing the bat. He's just too dangerous with his speed.
Here's Cozart, who hit one into right center that Pagan made an excellent catch on. Curveball high, 1 ball and no strikes. Votto to follow. 2-0 Giants here in the third. Nope, doesn't get the call. It's 3-0.
Asking, is that ball down? That's just a quiet protest.
So a 4-pitch walk.
And that is the 4th walk from Lincecum. Well, Warriors, well, they're going to continue the playoffs. Tomorrow night, Game 6. Coverage begins tomorrow at 5:30. You see pre and post on Sportsnet Central. Right here at CSNBayArea.com. Warriors playoff an hour before every game, post game, and on Sports Central all the way through the playoffs.
Votto drew a walk in the first. Here he takes wide. It's 1 ball and no strikes.
On base percentage of .413. Reds need him to have a big year, and he's off to a great start.
Cozart with 3 steals. The Reds stole 2 bases off of Lincecum in the first inning. So we'll see if they try to continue that here in the third with Cozart.
Well, everybody's going to try and steal against Lincecum.
1 ball and 1 strike.
And you know, Lincecum, when he puts his mind to it, he can unload quickly. He can give a catcher a chance, but he gets so focused on the hitter that he gets very deliberate, very long with his motion. You would think a guy 5'11", 170 pounds would be more compact, much quicker to home out of the stretch. Not the case with Lincecum. He's one of the slowest in the league at unloading. And what it does is it really hamstrings your catcher's ability to throw out a runner. And I think it's more important now with Lincecum, who balls hit. He's had over 50% of the balls hit off him this year hit on the ground, and that's because his curveball, slider, and split have all been very manageable this year. And he throws those things down around the knees and get balls hit in the ground. Well, when you're doing that, you want to do a good job of holding that runner on first just to give yourself a chance to get that double play. Earlier in his career, he would almost not care if he stole a base because then he'd say, I'm going to strike the next guy out, and he could. But now he's got to be a little better at holding those runners on.
And it's high to Votto. It's 3-1. So you can see Lincecum just trying to get the feel for the very next pitch he's about to throw.
A lot of pitches. Should have 45 or less at the end of the third inning. You can see the 57 where he's at.
He did not challenge him with a fastball. It's 3-2.
See the defensive shift with Crawford, the shortstop, on the second base side of second base.
Runner goes. Got him. Got him. Cozart decided not to slide, and that's a double play. And that's a mistake. You can't do that. Giants lead 2-0. Inning. Here's the play at the end of the inning. A late call by Alfonso Marquez.
Yeah, no hand signal recognizing that it was a strike three right off the get-go. But why Zach Cozart doesn't slide, I don't know. It wasn't like he was looking in to see. Look at his head's down, so he never looks in to see Alfonso Marquez. You have to assume that's going to be a strike, and you've got to slide. That's a mistake.
So here's Belt, who fouls it off the backstop, and it's 0-1.
So the Giants wind up getting a strike him out, throw him out, double play.
Belt fouls it out of play again. Belt struck out in the first inning. Here he takes a pitch a bit high.
A little quick pitch there from Johnny Cueto. You get used to Cueto coming up and giving you the big turn, showing you his numbers, and then every once in a while he'll do something different. And this is the just a quick pitch right there, just a little sneak attack, no big turn.
Yeah, he has been watching Louis Tiant.
I mean, that's tough to time a guy like that. It does stuff like that.
0-2 to 3-2 with Maxwell to follow. Overshift is on for Belt. Nobody playing at third. And Belt stays alive. He did not get a fastball.
Straight changeup. Good one. Lucky to get a piece of that. There's been 6 walks in this ball game already.
None of them have scored, by the way, so that takes care of that theory.
It's true. Walks have not haunted tonight.
Belt out of play. .57 pitches for Cueto. Belt trying to open up the inning by reaching. Here's the 3-2. Foul back. Better rip for Belt.
Yeah, you're right. He was on that one.
Giants got into town last night. I landed about what?
3:15.
Hotel about 4. Then you and I hit the town. We were in bed about 8.
It just seems like it.
Got him.
Comes by way of the front door. Little 2-seat movement at 93, and it absolutely freezes Belt.
Well, looking for the best coverage of Giants baseball, log on to csnbarea.com as insider Alex Pavlovich provides wire-to-wire reporting, breaking news, features, and more only on csnbarea.com. Here's Maxwell. So we didn't do that last night?
No, it just felt like we did when we woke up today.
Well, I did the morning show with Murph on KMBR, and I don't remember.
You don't remember talking to him?
I do not.
That's dangerous.
Maxwell hit a slow roll to the third that Frazier made a nice play to throw him out. He did that in the second. Bounces this one to Frazier again. 2 outs. And that'll bring up Crawford. There are times during the season where we wonder if we actually did do the morning show.
Yeah, that's a fact. Times during the offseason, as a matter of fact, too.
Yeah, a little excuse for that, though. Crawford off the end of the bat, foul. Giants 2, Reds nothing here in the 4th. Cueto to Crawford. There's that same quick pitch. It's 0-2.
He is one of the funkier at bats in the National League, no doubt. And a lot of it is because of just the different type of motion that he has, the different things he'll do to upset your timing. Not to mention that he's got 6 or 7 different types of movement that he can give you. And he can back off speeds on every pitch that he has. He's got a great feel for his pitches. Johnny Cueto going to be a free agent at the end of this year. I'm not sure if the Reds will sign him or can sign him.
And he's been a Red his entire career. From the Dominican Republic. Two pitch coming up to Crawford. Yeah, Leake will be a free agent too.
Michael Leake, right-hander, good pitcher.
Got him, and that'll end the inning. 92 past Crawford, 4 strikeouts. It'll be Frazier to lead things off.
San Francisco Giants and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of San Francisco Baseball Associates, LLC.
Well, the Atlanta Braves are coming to San Francisco at the end of the month, May 28th through the 31st, and Saturday, May 30th, the 7:05 start. First of 2 postseason hero giveaway bobbleheads. First 40,000 will receive either a Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt, or Yusmeiro Petit bobblehead, courtesy of AAA. And on Sunday, May 31st, the 105 game, first 20,000 fans receives a world champion banner presented by Coca-Cola. Go to sfgiants.com/tickets.
Frazier takes a strike. It's 0-1. Giants are leading 2-0 here in the bottom of the 4th. Frazier takes down low. He walked in the first inning. On deck is Marlon Byrd and then Jay Bruce. High, 2 balls and a strike.
It has been a struggle for Lincecum. Of all the starts that he has had this year, he has not struggled with his command like he has tonight.
And then you don't get pitches like that. It's 3-1.
Well, unless it's between the knees, you're not going to get much help from Marquez, the plate umpire.
And a rocket into left field, a base hit. So Frazier's going to lead off the 4th with a double. You see Lincecum in the NLDS coming out of the bullpen against the Cincinnati Reds. He was fabulous.
He was the X factor in that series. Remember, that was a 5-game series. Giants got down that series, losing the first 2 games in San Francisco. Then they come here in Cincinnati, where they hadn't won many games at all in the last several years prior to the 2012 playoffs. And they swept them. And Tim Lincecum had everything to do with it.
So here's Byrd. Byrd drew a walk in the first. And there's a strike, and it's 0-1.
You've got to double check with your look. Frazier at second base, a smart runner. If you just get to where you're giving him one look, turn and go, one look, good turn and go, he's going to time you, and he'll steal third.
So Lincecum will spin around and chase Frazier back. In tight to Byrd. 1 ball and 1 strike. Lincecum taking a long look into Buster Posey. And Byrd cues this one foul. There's our old friend coaching third. It's Jim Riggleman.
Good baseball man right there.
Jim Riggleman, and hired Bruce Bochy to be his third base coach in San Diego a gazillion years ago.
It was a good hire.
He is a good baseball man. 1-2 to Byrd. Check swing. I asked Bruce Bochy before the game, I said, did you think that Jim Riggleman was a good manager? He said, I learned a lot from Jim Riggleman. And Riggleman went on to manage. We watched him in a playoff game, and what was it? 1998, the Cubs beat the Giants in that 1-game playoff.
Yeah.
And Jim Riggleman was the manager. Byrd takes low. back in the big leagues, coaching third for Brian Price.
Managed in San Diego, Chicago, Seattle, Washington.
2-2 pitch. Here it is to Bird, and Bird bounces it over Jim Riggleman. On deck is Jay Bruce. By the way, the hit for Frazier was the first hit that the Reds have in this game against Lincecum. Bird started to go, but holds up. It's 3-2.
Another 3-2 count for Lincecum.
So we'll see what Lincecum does with Bird. 3-2, and he stumbles, and that's ball 4.
That's the third time he stumbled on this mound tonight, and that one very costly.
So Bruce Bochy wants to know what the heck is going on. He's at the top step. He's got Mark Latan on the top step. Or make it Dave Greshner,
who looks a lot like Mark Latan.
Yeah, well, thanks, partner. But the concern is basically what the heck is going on.
Well, as he's breaking, that time it was his back leg that collapsed. I mean, he does a good job of just getting rid of the ball and not having a balk called on him. The back leg collapsed, and it looks like he torqued his right leg. The last time he stumbled, it was as he was striding out towards home plate. His left foot, his stride step foot, caught a spike in the dirt, and he stumbled. So Lincecum has looked anything but comfortable on the mound here.
5 walks, 2 strikeouts, 1 hit. And here's Jay Bruce.
In a wild pitch.
And Jay Bruce takes a strike. So at second is Frazier. At first is Bird.
Lincecum came in with the team last night from Houston. I asked him, did you want to fly in early? He goes, no, they asked me if I wanted to. I don't like to do that.
There's a pop-up out of play.
He said, I like to be with the team.
Nobody asked me if I wanted to fly in early. How about you?
Yeah.
0-2 to Jay Bruce, who hit a ball that we thought was going to be a grand slam, but Pagan caught it deep into right center field. Here he takes high. It's 1-2.
Let's go with 7-3-2 counts. 75 pitches. And nobody out here in the 4th.
Bruce with a swing and a miss.
Good split. 3rd strikeout, and that's exactly what he was pitching for. Runner at second, nobody out.
Meadow Petit is starting to get loose as the pitch count number grows.
Good split. I mean, you can't throw a better one. He really has thrown some beautiful splits. Some of the best we've seen him throw all year. And that was one of them.
Here's Pena, Brian Pena, who bounced out to panic. And here he takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Almost looks as if Lincecum has taken a little bit off of everything to try to control it. That last pitch was at 86. Frazier not going anywhere, but Lincecum just letting him know that he's going to keep an eye on him. Ooh, that got Buster Posey. It's 0-2.
That move that you're seeing Lincecum do, where he'll come set drop down and give the illusion that he's going to start home and then turn to second base. That's being called from the bench. That's one of the things that Bruce Bochy will have a sign for. It just allows a pitcher to come in, turn, look at home, and then
hit up the middle, and that's going to be a base hit. It's going to score one, and it's a 2-1 ball game. So Pena with an RBI single.
Yeah, a bit frustrating for Lincecum. You get the ground ball you're pitching for, trying to get that double play, and it just finds a hole. It really wasn't a hit that quickly, but it gives you an idea of how quick this infield is. You look at the grass, you say, well, the grass it's thick, and it's going to be a medium speed infield. That's not the case.
Schumacher lined a ball hard to Blanco in the second inning. And here he drives it into the gap, but Pagan got a great jump and he'll put it away. And now the throw to first, and they got him! It's a double play! Pagan with a terrific throw to Belt. And Pena, who is off and running, could not get back in time. So a double play to end the fourth. And a nice play by Pagan.
Bumgarner taking on Jason Marquis. Bumgarner 3-2, Marquis 3-2. A little difference in the ERA and the WHIP, the walks and hits per innings pitch. Bumgarner just averaged a little over one base runner an inning, whereas Marquis at 1.5. So that's high. So that's our Chevron pitching matchup. Join us tomorrow if you would.
So here's Casey McGee. He will try to lead things off for the Giants. McGee struck out in the second. Takes a strike. Lincecum on deck. McGee out of play. It's 2-2. .71 pitches for Cueto.
Should be 75 or less at the end of 5 innings.
Got him. So McGee out for the second time, this time looking, and that'll bring up Lincecum.
Well, he's about as frustrated as a big league athlete could be. Let's go back and see how the inning ended for the Reds in the fourth inning. You can see Pagan coming over, and I think that's what Pena read, that he was not going to get to it. He got a little froggy getting off the bag, and then a one-hop strike from Pagan, and they get the back end of the double play. An unforgivable mistake by Pena, but a great play from Pagan.
Lincecum bounced out to second in his only at bat. Away from the target, so call the ball. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Swing, ain't gonna miss. So is the pitch to Casey McGee that McGee was upset about.
Well, they set the target on the inside. This is how you could stretch the strike zone with Marquez. If you hit the glove between the knees, you're going to get bigger corners. They cheat a little bit, got away with it.
Let's come out swinging.
Another quick pitch from Cueto. Ever since the balk, he's been lights out.
Well, the balk is the difference in the game, and here's Gregor Blanco. Blanco's 2 for 2. And he takes a called strike. And Blanco takes that pitch just a little bit high. So the Giants hanging on to a 2-1 lead. In a small ballpark, that's not enough. Blanco swings and misses, 2-2.
A lot of swings and misses. Not unusual with Cueto. I mean, he's got that kind of stuff. And a quick pitch. The thing with Cueto, you say, well, he's only throwing 91 miles an hour to our middle of the plate. Yeah, but the previous 3 speeds you saw before that pitch were all different. And you just got zipped.
Fouled out of play. Foul back again.
Sounded a quick pitch. The previous pitch, you watch a little double take, a little start, stop, and then the big turn, and then he comes back the next pitch and does a quick step on you. It works. All that stuff works. It upsets the timing of a hitter. It's so creative. I mean, he's fun to watch.
And the walk.
And an easy one to call for Alfonso Marquez. So that ends the streak of 6 in a row. The last time Giants hitter was on base was a walk in the 3rd.
Here's Panic. Panic is 0 for 1. He drew a walk in the 1st. Blanco with good speed. We'll see if he takes off.
As a pitcher, when you have good rhythm going out in the windup, you hate to break your own rhythm up by walking the guy and put yourself in the stretch.
And that's basically what Cueto has done here with 2 outs.
So a quick 0-1 to Joe Panik. Blanco extends his lead. And Panik takes just outside.
I mean, that unload time's under a second.
That's pretty good.
It's about as quick as you could go.
That means the catcher could take a little bit more time. Two balls and 1 strike. Blanco still showing no signs that he's going to go until now. So we're going to foul back. It's 2-2.
That would have been interesting. He had a pretty good jump. The Reds really don't show Joe Panik a lot of respect depth-wise in the outfield. Billy Hamilton, the center fielder, playing very shallow. But he goes back on a ball extremely well, and he has big range. So that's not that uncommon for Hamilton.
Panik out swinging to end the inning, and for Cueto, his 7th strikeout. He strikes out the side. Lincecum coming out. Cueto will lead it off. Special event package ticket, and you get a ticket to the Giants and Dodgers along with the Travis Ishikawa bobblehead. sfgiants.com/special events. Here's Cueto. No balls and 1 strike. It's going to be Posey, and he can't pick it up. Had a little English on it. And Cueto all of a sudden showed a burst of speed that we haven't seen.
Well, when you're leading off and you got a chance for an infield base hit, you know the deal. He looked like Santiago Casilla running down the baseline at Coors Field a couple years ago.
Yeah, better result. So here's Hamilton. Hamilton takes high.
Now let's take a look at the burst of speed from Johnny Cueto.
Low flying.
Hamilton is bounced out and he's flied out. And this is hit high to left field to Blanco. You want to do, you want Hamilton to hit the ball in the air.
Any at bat that he has that results in a fly ball is a bad at bat. With his speed, he wants to put the ball on the ground. So it's a big out. Keeping him off the base pass. Of course, when you have Johnny Cueto at first base, kind of plugs up the vein.
Here's Cozart. Cozart takes a strike. Cozart lined out to Pagano, made a nice catch in right center field, and then he drew a walk in the third. Bullet past McGee. Cueto is going to stop at second, and now the Reds are in business with runners at first and second and only one out, with Joey Votto coming up.
Zach Cozart's hot. He's had 2 great at bats tonight and a walk. Everything he's hit, I mean, he almost put it out of the ballpark in right center his first AP. Here he just bullets one right past Casey McGee.
Votto has walked and he's struck out. So the table is set for the right guys for the Reds coming up. And a strike, and it's 0-1. Votto waiting, and it's wide. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
One thing Votto has always done very well is establish a strike zone, and he's disciplined to stay in it. One of his big keys is getting good pitches to hit, and his eye and his knowledge of the strike zone that he has allows him to do that. If he's going to chase, it's going to have to be something really quick down below the strike zone, as you see Gene Machi getting up for a second time. Actually, I guess it was Petit who was up earlier.
Correct.
Beg your pardon.
Out of play, 2-2. Cueto at second, Cozart at first. Come looking for the strikeout or double play, and Posey's going to go out and talk to his right-hander.
Well, he made a suggestion. Lincecum shook it off, and about halfway into more signs, it's like, you know what, we need to change the signs. Yeah. That's how you see a catcher come out and talk to a pitcher, bring in a middle infielder. They're going to change the signs, and pitchers are very good at stealing signs. And you have one at second base in Johnny Cueto.
Got him.
Split, and I mean a pearl.
And it was fouled by Votto, but Buster Posey hung on.
4 strikeouts now for Lincecum, all swing and miss strike threes. And when you're striking out a hot hitter like Votto, and he's done it twice tonight, and especially with the runner in scoring position, you've made a good pitch, and that was fantastic.
Frazier has walked and doubled, so you got to be careful with this guy. Leads his club in RBIs. Swing and a miss, 0-1. So maybe the 2 best pitches that Lincecum has thrown tonight have been the last 2.
2 good splits, one to finish off Votto and one to open up here with Frazier. Frazier, as you see the 244 batting average this season, don't even pay attention to that. He has torched the Giants' lifetime. He's torched them to the point that he probably thinks when he's playing San Francisco, that's his get well team.
Good pitch. 87 with the fastball. It's 1-2. So this is what Mike's talking about.
Ooh. Close. And he wants to know, is that away? Is it down? Where was that pitch? Again, that's his way of disagreeing. Umpires do not like that, by the way, but this is a great pitch. And that tells me right there that Todd Frazier's guessing with 2 strikes. That's the I don't agree with you face.
Foul back. He threw it again, and this time Frazier said, I'm not going to take it again.
Aren't big corners on Alfonso Marquez's strike zone, and he's been that way for both pitchers tonight. It's been a tight zone for the most part.
And he hit it. Well, we haven't had one of those tonight.
Well, that's the last thing he wanted to do, and that's going to bring out Rigetti. And again, this right here is just to give him a breather.
And now with the bases loaded, you have no margin for error.
If Lincecum could get through this inning, it's probably going to be his last inning.
Absolutely.
Four walks and a hit batsman. 5 walks and a hit batsman.
We'll see Lopez. Lopez is for Jay Bruce, who's on deck.
Let's put it this way. I believe this is going to be the last hitter he's going to face no matter what.
Well, with what we saw who was warming up, you're absolutely right.
Now watch out for the first pitch on Bird. He likes to bushwhack on challenge fastballs early.
Bird has walked twice. One ball and no strikes. So Lincecum's got to throw a strike. Little flare. This is going to hurt. 2 runs are going to score. The throw is going to go to third. And McGee did a good job of knocking it down, and the Reds take the lead. And that's it for Lincecum.
Little jam shot, and Bird, big and strong enough to throw this out over the head of the infielder. And no chance for Maxwell, and a nice play here from McGee to stop this ball from getting by. That would cost the Giants another run.
When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and repair experts. We'll be back.
4 o'clock Pacific time. Pregame live at 3:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area. It'll be Madison Bumgarner on the hill for the Giants, taking on right-hander Jason Marquis. So the home of your world champion Giants is right here on Comcast Sportsnet. New pitcher now for the Giants will be Javier Lopez. Let's take a look at the numbers for Lopez. 16th game that he has been in. He's got 8 innings on the year. Lefty's hitting 118. He's going to be asked to get one out right now.
Pitch to Jay Bruce is a swing and a foul back. His overall numbers lifetime against Lopez for Jay Bruce. He's 2 hits and 12 at bats with 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. Frazier's at third. Bird is at first. And it's now 0-2.
Going on that inside corner.
Overshift is on for Bruce. Runner will go. And he got him, and that'll end the inning. So Tom Hallion brings up Jay Bruce. So the Reds take the lead. We'll head to the 6th. We do have a lot of Giants fans here tonight. And Giants and Reds fans having fun at the yard, as you should. A couple of good fans who decided that they were going to say hello. So hello back.
Is that Rosie?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Rosie. Here's Pagan to lead it off. Angel Pagan tonight is 0 for 1. He drew a walk in the 3rd. Cueto now pitching in this game with a lead for the first time. He struck out the side in the 5th. Foul back, and in the last 2 innings he struck out 5 of 6.
Hey, time now for McDonald's True Story. Since 2012, players with 80 doubles and 20 triples. Well, Angel Pagan's in that list. Austin Jackson, Alex Rios, Mike Trout, Denard Span. It's a good club to be in.
Pagan shoots it foul, 1-2. Posey on deck. Got him.
And the quick pitch. It's so effective. And nobody's really squared it up. Just a step. There's no big turn, no showing you his number. It just zips you. Only way I can describe it, because that's what it feels like when you're in the batter's box, is somebody quick pitches you.
Here's Buster Posey.
Greatest quick pitch guy I ever saw was Jim Cott. I mean, he quick pitch on every pitch.
Foul at the plate.
Jim Cott, I think he pitched like 25 years. When he first came up, classic high leg, left-hander, very standard delivery, beautiful delivery. And then as he lost stuff, he started getting more creative with the way that he would present the ball to the hitter.
Posey gets jammed and bounces this one to Cozart. 2 down.
That did not feel good.
And here's Belt.
Jim Cott would throw a pitch and then he would get back on the rubber before the ball was being thrown back to him. And as soon as the ball got back in his glove, he'd come and walk through and throw another pitch.
We got an injured player. Looks like it's Pena. I don't know if you get caught on a backswing or.
Well, the bat got sawed in half.
And they're checking the umpire too.
The bat may have come back and hit Marquez on the left hand. Watch the bat hit him. He just gets sawed off, and there goes the bat. Goes right over the shoulder of Pena and right into the hand of Marquez.
Pena getting looked at. Marquez getting looked at.
It's been kind of a strange game.
Very strange game.
Bat head going right around the back of Posey, and that really hit Marquez solidly on his left hand. That is not something you expect.
Hey, maybe this will break Cueto's rhythm. He's throwing now to Cozart, the shortstop.
Bat head going right back in. Oh, that hits him flush. Ouch.
Got them both.
This has been a very strange game for a lot of ways. And you can add this to the list. It's definitely a way you can break your hand. I mean, you don't expect you're ever going to get hit. You're totally relaxed. You're concentrating on the pitch, and all of a sudden, bat head comes back and hits the catcher and the umpire.
So with 2 outs, Belt will be the hitter. Belt has struck out twice in this game. Cueto's got 8 strikeouts. So here's Belt. Overshift is on. And Belt takes outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Two 2-0. Belt's trying to work himself into a count where he can get something to hit. That may be it right now. Drives it down the right field line. foul.
You know, it's hard to believe that he's in one of these funks right now where he's doing a lot of swinging and missing. When you consider how hot he was the last homestand the Giants had in San Francisco, I mean, he was hitting the ball all over the place.
That was 2 games ago.
And now he comes to 2 ballparks that are really offensive yards, and he's having trouble making tough, solid contact. And when he does hit it, he's hooking it foul. And we've seen him in some swing and miss funks. We were talking about it last night in that series he had against Cleveland a couple years ago in San Francisco. And in those 3 games against the Indians, he had 14 swing and misses.
Got him, and that'll end the inning. Belt struck out 3 times in this game. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th. 3-2 Reds.
Area is brought to you by Heffernan Insurance Brokers. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com and by Xfinity, home of the most live sports.
The Reds took the lead in the bottom of the 5th with 2 runs. We're still taking a look at Alfonso Marquez, the home plate umpire. They wrapped him up. Umpires are like catchers. You're not going to get any sympathy whatsoever.
No, and people get mad at the umpire because the game's being delayed. They'll x-ray that after the game.
So Lopez stays in the game. He's facing Pena. Pena on the ground to Crawford. Crawford on the backhand. 1 out. So here's Schumacher. Schumacher is 0 for 2. Hit the ball hard a couple of times. And here he takes a strike. Cueto to follow. Out of play down the left field line. It's 0-2.
Schumacher, one of those super utility guys, can play anywhere. You can play the middle 2 positions in the infield and center field. You can play anywhere, and he can play them well.
Lopez drops down, and Schumacher is out swinging. And here's Cueto. was the last time Lopez went in hitting in the third?
Well, I mean, that's probably why he's out there. He's only throwing 7 pitches.
Here's Cueto, who pushes the bunt, but he doesn't push it at all as he bunts it foul to the backstop. Cueto takes outside and low. On the ground to Panic. Panic to Belt, and that'll end the inning. So Lopez does a nice job. And for the Giants, it'll be Maxwell to lead things off. Dealer. Lincecum threw a lot of pitches. He walked 5 and he gave up 3 runs. Cueto has been good. He's got 9 strikeouts and 101 pitches. Blanco's been 2 for 2, and Bird blooped one to right to knock in the tying and the lead run. He did that in the 5th. It'll be Maxwell, Crawford, and McGee to face Johnny Cueto here in the 7th. It's been an odd game.
Yeah, different type of a rhythm to this game.
Maxwell fouls it out of play.
There have been 8 walks in this ball game, 5 from Lincecum, 3 from Cueto, and a hit batsman, a couple of wild pitches, and a balk. So I think that mix right there makes it
odd. 1 ball and 1 strike to Maxwell. Maxwell's 0 for 2. He's bounced out twice to Frazier at third. 1 and 2.
93 right above the hands. Go right back there again. And he'll do it on a quick pitch, and it just makes it a completely different pitch.
Outside, it's 2 and 2.
You know, guys get so into trying to repeat their motion, which enables them to have command.
Maxwell lines one into left. He's got a base hit.
But when you watch what Johnny Cueto has done tonight, I mean, he's really had success adjusting his rhythm just with the windup before the ball's even left his hand. And that in itself has upset the timing of the Giants hitters.
Here's Crawford. He's bounced out and he's struck out. So Maxwell being held on by Votto. He runs well. And there's a high fly ball to right, but it's in the park to Bruce. And Bruce will put it away.
Just got up the bat ever so much.
Tony Zingrani is in the Reds bullpen, as here's Casey McGee, who's had a rough night. He's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. So McGee looking to either get Maxwell in or get him to third, and there's a shot up the middle, and it's past the diving Schumacher, and McGee's got a base hit. And now the Giants are going to send up a pinch hitter. It was going to be Hector Sanchez, and he's being called back. And it's going to be Nori Aoki.
Just off the tip of the glove of Skip Schumacher. Now, normally when a middle infielder deflects the ball and it trickles into center field, it's an automatic take a third, especially for somebody who's got pretty good speed like Maxwell does. But the way that Billy Hamilton can collapse on a ball, it prevented it.
Yeah, Hamilton's faster coming in than Maxwell is first to third.
And he's got a great arm. That's somebody you can challenge, not when you're down a run.
Aoki is 2 for 13 lifetime against Cueto with a couple of doubles. So here we go. Aoki hitting for Lopez with the tying run at second base. And it's in tight, 1 ball and no strikes. See the numbers for Aoki pinch hitting, 10 for 30. Look out.
The Hayes is flat late on that one. And Aoki didn't have a lot of swing. I mean, he's pretty direct to the ball.
Takes that pitch high. 2 balls and a strike. Top of the order, Gregor Blanco on deck. 2 hits here in the inning off of Cueto. And he's thrown 111 pitches. Doesn't seem to be slowing down, though. Three and 1.
Big pitch for Johnny Cueto right here. If he walks Aoki, he's out. This could be his last pitch of the night.
3 and 2.
And he goes right at him. Challenge fastball, a 3-1 count.
Could be a pair. It is a pair. Bottom of the 7th coming up. 3-2 Reds. with Cincinnati on top. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts.
New pitcher for the Giants will be Gene Machi. 17th game that he has come into. He's been a workhorse. 10 strikeouts against 9 walks, and it really is indicative of where his improvement's going to have to be, and it's going to be in his command, and mostly in the command of his forkball. Fastball, he'll go low to mid-90s with a little slider and a forkball, which at times has been a bit erratic. Still a swing and miss pitch for both righties and lefties.
And he'll be facing the top of the order in Billy Hamilton. Hamilton is 0 for 3. And he takes low and in as he bluffed a bunt. Almost hit him. So Machi will get a new baseball. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Foul out of play. Infield plays a step or so in. Out of respect for the great speed of Billy Hamilton. And that pitch is high, 2-1.
Playing Hamilton straight away. Respect the bunt. Third base. This guy can really make a defense jumpy because of his speed. Well, Machi knows the deal. You can't walk a guy who can steal bases like Hamilton. You've got to make him swing the bat. And this should just be a challenge. Fastball right across the middle, or whatever he knows he can get in the strike zone with. Hamilton taken all the way. And we see him do that a lot on 3-1 counts, 2-0 counts, counts that are usually good hitting counts where guys look fastball. And with Hamilton's speed, he knows he's going to get a fastball, but for the most part, he takes it, especially with nobody on base.
And that's pulled on the ground, foul. It stays at 3-2.
Hamilton started this game hitting 211. It's down to 206 now, and his on-base percentage is under 260. And if the Reds are going to do something in this division, this guy's the key. He's got to improve his on-base percentage dramatically.
Down the left field line, that'll be a souvenir. So Hamilton in a battle, trying to reach for Cozart. Got to play again.
It's a good battle.
Already 8 pitches in this at bat. Hamilton steps out. Machi and Posey trying to get on the same page.
Nothing cute, just a challenge fastball, make him swing it.
Blanco with room. Hamilton with 3 fly ball outs in this game.
So a nice job of persistence there by Gene Machi, down the count 3-1 to battle back and get that ball put in play that his defense could gobble up.
Here's Cozart. Cozart 1 for 2. And he takes low for a ball, 1-0. In the on-deck circle is Joey Votto. And a strike from Machi at 92. Good live fastball from Gene Machi. Giants in the top of the 8th inning will have the top of the order. Swing and a miss. It's now 1-2.
Good forkball. And he just had a good hitter who's hot way out front. When you do that, you know you made a good pitch.
So Machi going after Cozart 1-2. And the pitch. And he got him.
Zipped him with 92. That's my favorite word today.
Zipped.
Yeah. But he just looked bad on a forkball, and he was up there guessing with 2 strikes. And Machi just shoots a fastball right above the knees. Grabs some pine meat.
Votto is 0 for 2. And he bounces this one slowly to Panic, and that's going to end the inning. So the Giants will come up with the top of the order. See if the Reds make a pitching move. It's 3-2 Reds.
MLB.com @bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or your tablet.
3-2 ball game. Reds on top. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your oil change tune-up and repair experts.
New pitcher now for the Reds will be the left-hander Tony Cingrani, former starter that has been put in the bullpen, and these are some odd numbers. No record yet. 2.08 ERA, more strikeouts than innings pitched. But look at the walks. He's not getting hit around, but he gets a wild hair up his nose, and he will walk you. You're going to see a low to mid-90s fastball with a curveball, slider, and a changeup. I mean, those are the 4 pitches that he throws. But for the most part, you're going to see a lot of high fastballs. Chris Negron comes in. He on the double switch. He plays second base.
And Susak is going to pinch hit. Susak takes low, 1 ball and no strikes. Susak, panic, and then Pagan here in the 8th inning. Away from the target, and a ball. 2 balls and no strikes.
Cingrani, a tall guy, 6'4", 210-pounder. From Seabrook, Texas. In his second year at the big league level.
Susak, tardy, 2 balls and 1 strike.
And that's the one it's so tough to lay off of when you're facing Cingrani.
Three and 1, so Susak back in the driver's seat after he swung and missed through the 2-0 pitch. We'll see what he gets here. 3-1. He walked him. So just like you said, checking his nose to see where that wild hair is.
Well, hey, he gets him up there quite often. You've got more activity in the Reds bullpen.
Big guy.
That is Jumbo Diaz.
Big guy Diaz. Here's Panic with the tying run at first. Panic takes a strike. Joe tonight is 0 for 2. And a quick toss, and Susak's out. Unbelievable. Absolutely going nowhere, and Susak got picked off. Here's Bochy. Says, I've had enough. He's going down the tunnel.
Well, they may take a look at this one. Let's look at this angle. I mean, he definitely. He's out. They will not review that. Frustrating, and you're right, he had no intention of going anywhere. Maybe they'll review it.
So they're going to take a look at it.
I thought from this angle it might have been questionable. See the lean, then he comes back, swings wide.
Oh, he's out.
Yeah, I think so.
This replay review is presented by Xfinity. Andrew Susak is standing on the field watching the replay on the big board, and I don't think he's feeling too good about it, to be honest with you. It happens. You get at first base, and it's not that you fall asleep. It's that you really kind of lose concentration as to the pitcher coming over. I
don't know. It's awfully close.
The umpire is Dan Bellino. And I would be shocked if they overturn this.
This is a long wait for Susac. I mean, he has a chance to be redeemed if in New York they say that he indeed did get back. Because, I mean, it has to be obvious now to overturn the initial decision. I just don't see that it's that obvious, but it's close. And to the crew in New York, I give them credit because they are really taking a long, hard look. That angle right there, I can see why the Giants would challenge it, though.
Well, did Votto whiff right here?
Yeah, you know, right there, it looks like he's safe.
So they're
got his
call him
fingertips
out.
back. But in the end, nope, says Tom Halya, the crew chief. So Dan Bellino, the first base umpire, got it right. Well, when you're down to your last 6 outs, you hate to give one by way of the pickoff.
So Panic is at the plate now with no balls and 1 strike with nobody on base and 1 out. Panic fouls this one off of Pena's glove. Pagan to follow. We're in the 8th inning in a 1-run ball game. Panic out of play.
It's kind of an interesting story about Cingrani. He wants to start. He thinks of himself as a starter. And when Brian Price, the Red skipper, put him in the bullpen, he really was very vocal about his displeasure about being sent down.
Down the left field line, a long run for Bird, and he slides. It's a fair ball, and it's down into the corner. Panic is on the move. Panic is headed for 3. Panic's going to make it. It'll be a triple for Joe Panic.
Ball had slice that was running away from Bird. It was just a matter of whether it was going to stay fair, and if the slice was indeed going to do its thing against Marlon Bird, and it did. He couldn't get there in time, but once it got by him, and once Bird made the commitment to try and get after it and allowed it to get by him, it was an easy take at third base, and that's a mistake. Now you have a runner at first and third, or runner at third with less than 2 outs.
So here's Pagan facing Cingrani with the infield in. And a belt tie strike, and it's 0-1.
That's a tough play for an outfield. I mean, you want to be aggressive to catch the ball, but giving up that 90-foot increment between second and third, that's a big mistake. Pure strikeout situation for Cingrani.
They're coming in. And a line drive off the glove of Votto, and this game is tied. A bullet, and Votto got a glove on it, but it went off the top of it and into right field.
2 nice opposite field approaches here. We got a brand new ball game. And here comes Brian Price. High fastball, and Pagan, as we've seen him do so often this year, go the opposite way. Comes up big with a money hit.
So Panic's triple, Pagan single, tie ball game. It's 3-3, and we'll be back. And it's coming up right after the ball game, so stay tuned. A lot of stuff going on. So we got a new pitcher. It's Jumbo Diaz. And when we mean jumbo, we mean jumbo. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change in Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and repair experts.
15th game for Jumbo Diaz. 1-0 with an ERA of 7.11. But look at the strikeouts. 13 and 12 and 2/3 against 3 walks. Diaz, 31 years old. Been in organized baseball for, this is his 14th year. He's got just about a year at the big league level, so he's bounced around. 6'4", 280. He is a big fella.
And he's facing Buster Posey. Buster tonight 1 for 3.
I'd like to know at what age did he start getting called Jumbo?
Well, it's usually not the way baseball does it, nicknames wise. Is more like Tiny would be his nickname.
Yeah.
Outside.
But he's always had a good fastball, and you can see him. I mean, he can go mid to high 90s with velocity, a slider, and a split. I mean, he's got 3 pitches he can strike you out with. But he will give you something to hit. He doesn't have great command of that fastball.
Posey lifts one into right, but Jay Bruce is going to move over and under. And here's Belt.
I mean, there's a reason a guy's been in organized baseball for 14 years and he's only got 1 at the big league level that throws mid to high 90s. He just doesn't have great command. And at 6'4", 280, he's slimmed down. For a lot of his career, he was over 300 by a bunch.
So here's Belt, who struck out 3 times. And a swing and a miss.
Diaz broke in with the Dodgers, went to the Rangers, then the Orioles, the Pirates, wound up here with the Reds.
Pagan is back.
Diaz had 280. As you mentioned, the slim down last year was at 350. So he really went on a program to lose the weight. 70 pounds.
Belt drives it to left. Back is Bird, and Bird's going to make the catch. And that's going to end the inning. Bottom of the 8th coming up. It's 3-3. p.m. pre and post and Sportsnet Central coverage right here on Comcast Sportsnet plus CSNBayArea.com. 3-3 ball game here in Cincinnati. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and repair experts.
So the new pitcher for the Giants is going to be Sergio Romo, coming in for the 16th time. 0-1 with a 3.38 ERA. Romo with 19 strikeouts and 10 2/3 against 4 walks. Pitching well.
Facing Todd Frazier. Susak now behind the dish. Belt is in left field. And Buster Posey's at first. Frazier takes a strike. Line drive right at McGee, 1 out. Really interesting how the Aoki double play ruined everything for Bruce Bochy, because he was going to put Aoki into the game after he was then going to pinch hit for Gregor Blanca, but he never got that far. So it's amazing what managers try to do. They use a guy, they pinch hit a guy because they don't want him to hit into a double play, thinking he would be the guy that's not going to, and then it happened.
And then it happens.
So here's Bird. Bird takes a strike. Bird takes a slider low and away. Bird's bloop single in the 5th knocked in 2 runs. Here you see Affel working with Mark Gardner.
We're talking about keeping your shoulder and driving that shoulder towards your target. Don't pull off. It's the greatest thing they ever did is put a coach down in the bullpen during the game.
High drive to left. Bird gone. And the Reds take the lead here in the 8th. That's the first hit Bird has ever had off of Romo. And he hits his 8th of the year.
Ball just kind of lays out there, not a whole lot on it. It's rare that you see Romo hang anything. And here he does, and Bird jumps all over it. This ballpark just unforgiving.
Similar to what happened last night in Houston, as Jay Bruce takes down low.
Bird homered in last night's ball game against Atlanta as well, so he's definitely thinking long ball right now. And he comes up with the difference maker.
Two and 0 to Jay Bruce. There's Chapman, who's getting loose. It was the home run last night in the 8th inning by George Springer that gave the Astros the lead, and tonight it's Marlon Bird. Romo walks Bruce on 3 pitches, or 4 pitches, I beg your pardon. And Bruce Bochy's coming out. So Affelt's going to come in. It's a 4-3 lead, and we'll be back. Marlins on KMBR 680, the sports leader.
New pitcher now for the Giants is going to be the left-hander, Jeremy Affeldt. It's the 16th time that we have seen him come into a game. 0-2 with a 3.12 ERA. Just 2 strikeouts. You classify Affeldt, you would say he's a sinker guy. Fastball that's low 90s with plenty of sink. And he can definitely get you a ground ball, which is what he's going to be pitching for here.
Pena is 1 for 3. Bounced a single up the middle in the 4th to knock in a run off of Lincecum. Affeldt will chase Jay Bruce back. Outside for a ball, 1-0. Two balls and no strikes, so Affeldt needs to come in. Devin Mesoraco's on deck. And that's fouled out of play.
You know, the thing about Affeldt's sinker, we've seen him so consistent come in. And one year he led the league in inducing double plays, and to do it out of the bullpen, it's remarkable. But when he starts flying that front shoulder, he starts losing sink, and it starts to fade.
On the ground and a base hit into right field. Bruce will stop at second. And Mesoraco's going to hit. Mesoraco's got a hip problem. He's got an impingement in his hip. He can't catch, but he can hit. He last caught on April 12th. And he made the All-Star team last year. He's a terrific young player. And the first pitch from Affeldt is high. There's a strike. Chris Negron is on deck. 1-1 to Mesoraco. Panic trying to keep Bruce close to second. And Affeldt throws, and Mesoraco with a big swing and a miss. 1-2.
And that's the fork ball. When Affeldt first got to the Giants, he's pretty much a two-pitch guy, fastball, curveball. And then he came up with the fork ball, which really gave him a good confidence to throw to right-handers as a strikeout pitch.
Now Bruce goes. The pitch is low and in. He's going to steal it.
Well, that's a big 90 feet. Just a matter of concentrating more on the guy in the batter's box than the guy in the base pass.
Well, I think Affeldt right now is absolutely doing that.
And Buster's really had no chance to throw out any runner that's attempted to steal tonight.
And
none.
Susac there either. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He got him.
And that's what you have to do. Runner at third base, less than 2 outs. You've got to get that strikeout. You're looking down in the Reds bullpen. You're seeing Aroldis Chapman, the closer. You do not want to get down any farther than 1 run. So this is a huge pitch.
And that probably was not a strike.
But we haven't seen him call a strike all night long. And you see the look on Mesoraco's face. I think you would agree with us.
Here's Negron. And this is bounced to Crawford. And that'll end the inning. So Affeldt comes back, settles everything down. Now the Giants need 1 to tie and 2 to take the lead. It's 4-3 Reds. And play of the game is brought to you by Honda, and it's young man who hit the ball out of the park. Marlon Byrd to give the Reds the lead off of Romo in the 8th inning. That's our Honda player of the game.
New pitcher now for the Reds will be their closer, Aroldis Chapman. And you want to see a perfect catapult throwing machine. You're looking at it right there. Nobody throws harder than this guy in the game. This will be the 7th time he's come in. He's 6 for 6 in save opportunities. 25 strikeouts against 15 and a third, or against 7 walks in 15 and a third innings. And you're going to see 100 miles an hour, and he's going to make it look easy. He'll go high 90s consistently, low 100s consistently. He's got a slider and a changeup, believe it or not, although I don't even know why. Last year, he had 36 saves, and in 54 innings, he struck out 106 hitters. And you know right there, 80% of the time, he's going to throw that fastball at you. And it's a good one. Why wouldn't you?
Here's Maxwell, who's 1 for 3. And then it's Crawford, and then it's McGee. And the first pitch is high.
You're not going to go up there and look slider off this guy. That's what Maxwell got. Chapman, 6'4", 220-pounder, long arms.
And a strike.
Two pitches, 2 breaking balls. Go figure. A little bit inside at 97 miles per hour. long arms, but he doesn't have a problem repeating the stroke with the long arm, and that is really what makes him unusual. So he's a catapult. That was 98 miles an hour.
Well, Maxwell is just saying, look, I thought that was a ball, the last pitch. Even though both pitches look pretty good, to be honest with you. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Fastball across the chest for the payoff pitch. And trying to keep a top hand on that one is a rough assignment. That is just pure fastball. And watch the motion. Drop and then the long arm delivery. You can see the extension. And it's really an easy 100, if there is such a thing.
Here's Crawford. Crawford today is 0 for 3.
When you've got to cheat to get started on 100 miles an hour, you got to dive in there and hope that it's something you can get to. And you're not going to be thinking slider.
Well, Crawford's pretty good against lefties. I mean, we get that this is not your usual lefty, but he does hang in there pretty good.
Pure power with perfect location. And it's not easy to hit.
One and two.
Sidelines after establishing the knee-high fastball at 99 the previous pitch, and he nails the outside corner. He goes right across the letters at 100. And the 2 best fastballs he has seen, he has saved them for the 2-strike situation. And that's just pure power.
So here's Casey McGee. Giants have struck out 11 times in this game. Cueto had 9. So here's McGee. And he swings and fouls this one into the glove of Pena. 3 pizzas for 11 strikeouts. That's the roar you heard. 0-1 to McGee. McGee down the right field line in the park, and that's the ball game. So game 1 in this 4-game series, it goes to the Reds. And for the second night in a row, a late inning home run beats the Giants.
Well, they're going to feel the same way they walk it out of here that they felt last night walking out of Houston, that this is a game they should have won and could have won. Very frustrating night for the Giants.
So final score here at Great American Ballpark. It's the Reds 4 and the Giants 3. Stay tuned. Esurance Giants postgame live. That's going to start right now.